What's up, all you beautiful people? It's Justin here. Welcome to part 2 of the video series, How I Make $200 per day, 95% passively, 365 days per year. In this part, we're going to go over some sweet strategies you can do with house hacking and some things I would have done differently with my new knowledge base after doing this for 16 months in my first house and 20 months as of shooting this video in my second house. And what my plans are for the future regarding house hacking. You might be wondering, why do I refer to house hacking as an experiment? Well, that's because experiments are designed to allow you to discover what's real and what's true in the actual world. Zero theory, all based on direct and useful experiences which have had as humans, which is what is needed to make the best decisions for yourself and to give the best advice that you possibly can to other people. When you do something like this as an experiment, that also suggests you're in control of it and can stop it or change it or keep conducting it if you want to. So the word experiment best describes how this relates to me and my situation. So before we dive right into the core content, I think it's time for a Chuck Norris joke. The flu has to get Chuck Norris shots once a year.
Nice.
All right, so let's dive right into the core content and the strategies I've thought of that I believe work incredibly well with house hacking. The first thing to understand with buying a house for house hacking is how much of a down payment you need to come up with to buy a house to do this with in the first place. For a conventional or regular mortgage loan, you'll normally need to put down at least 5% of the purchase price, and you'll also have to save for closing costs as well. So on a $400,000 house, you would normally have to put down at least $20,000. For a $200,000 house, then at least $10,000 plus closing costs. Some Googled articles may say that your closing costs will be 2 to 5% of the purchase price, which was not true for me in my experiences on the houses I have personally purchased. On my first house, which was $350,000, my closing costs were $5,728, which was about 1.6% of the house sale price, and my total out-of-pocket cost, or cash to close as it's called, was about $17,500, which is 5%. And I had to pay the $5,728 in closing costs, which means I had to put down $23,228, or about 6.6% of the total sale price of $350,000. However, I do believe some of the closing costs were able to be rolled into the final loan amount and some were not. And also the seller of the house gave me a credit to help cover these costs. And therefore my actual cash to close in my case or situation, or actual cash needed in this case, was just under $18,000, which was about the original 5%. Therefore I found ways to not pay the other 1.6%, totaling $57.28 up front by asking the seller for a credit and also being able to roll part of those costs into the final loan amount, which, as I understand it, cannot always be done. On my second house, which was just under $360,000, my closing costs were almost the same with about a 1.6% added cost, and the cash to close was very similar too, but doing this second house purchase, I had my real estate license, and therefore I received an $8,900 commission, and I was able to use that to cover all of my closing costs. And I converted any leftover commission to a discount on the house to get free equity to avoid paying income taxes. More on that later in this series. So on my first house, I put down a 5% down payment, which was $17,500. The PMI, which stands for private mortgage insurance, added to the monthly payment was about $130. But I later refinanced the interest rate, which was 4.625%, down to 3.875%, and the new PMI was only $97 per month, and this was back during 2017 through 2018. On my second house, I also put down a 5% down payment, which was about $18,000 at a rate of 3.875 with a $133 monthly PMI payment, and I just recently financed it to 3.25 and got rid of the PMI. Because the house had risen in value by over $100,000 since I purchased it 20 months ago, with no signs of slowing down according to the recent comps, which stands for comparisons in my area and other recently sold similar homes. Here's why I believe personally putting down less than 20% and paying the PMI is a smarter strategy for house hackers and just regular homeowners as well. For either of these two houses, I would have needed to put down an additional $52,000 to $54,000. If we look at the first house, I would only have saved $97 per month in private mortgage insurance and had a slightly better principal/interest payment on the house in exchange for turning that additional $52,000 in liquid cash into home equity as a down payment. Here's the math on this as an example. The monthly payment would be $1,316 a month with 20% down, and the monthly payment would be $1,563 a month with 5% down. So I'd only save $247 in principal and interest and $97 in PMI each month, which would be $344 per month in savings in exchange for the extra $52,500. So $52,500 is being invested to save $344 per month, which is a savings of $4,128 per year. So if we take the $4128 and divide this into the $52,500, this will get us a 7.8% annual savings or return on my money due to adding up the $344 per month over a year's time. Not bad, right? Also, now would be a perfect time to make that like button turn blue by giving it a swift uppercut for the YouTube algorithm, which would be quite helpful. Thank you.
Nice.
In my opinion, there are some big disadvantages to putting down 20% on a home. The first thing to understand is equity is not nearly as valuable as cash. You can pay for anything with cash. If you have a large unexpected bill come up, you cannot pay for that bill with your equity. Having a pile of money in your bank account instead of tying up that cash in your house has another advantage.
Nice.
If for some reason the real estate market crashes and home values go down, you will have more than enough money on hand to be able to continue paying for your mortgage payments until the market hopefully recovers. Yes, you would be losing $344 each month in this situation, but if the $52,500 buys you the peace of mind like it does for me, it's more sensible to keep that money on hand and simply get a good night's sleep money in case you lose your job or get sick or your business starts producing less profits or something else happens in the future that you did not foresee coming. If that money is converted into equity from an increased down payment and the market goes down, you have way less cash reserves to buy the time you may need and the psychological certainty needed to make it through a wild ride like that, which could last years, and having the money on hand can make the difference between you holding the property until the market recovers like an investor would versus doing a short sale and taking a big loss on it. Now here's the more important reasons why I recommend this. There are many other ways you can invest that $52,500 to get a way higher savings or return than 7.8% on your money per year. One example which pertains to me is if you are a business owner who pays for advertising to sell products or services, that same money spent on ads will likely yield the business owner 20, 50, 100% or more returns if they're skilled and know how to produce these results like I do. But for the average person or aspiring house hacker, for example, then perhaps the greatest way to redeploy this money is to use it as a down payment on your next primary residence home purchase, which can take place 12 months after you buy the first one. So here's what I mean. If you're going to design your own house hacking experiment like me, then 5% down is a great idea because after 12 months, you can purchase a new home, make it your primary residence again with only 5% down. And then you can rent out your old room in the first house, and in doing so, turning it into a full-blown rental and collecting large cash flow from both properties now. In my opinion, using the smallest amount of capital possible to purchase assets like single-family houses, which often rise dramatically in value and quickly, is a great strategy. And then living in them yourself and then renting out the other spaces within them, so that you are never losing money to gain ownership of value increasing assets like houses. Historically speaking, most houses are generally expected to go up in value by about 6% per year on average. So if you can gain ownership over $1 million worth of houses, that's most likely $60,000 per year, which is $5,000 per month in appreciation alone that you could now be getting, which could be spread out across, for example, maybe 3 single-family homes that you might own, which could have been purchased at around $335,000 each for this example. Even if you were only breaking even on these houses after you collect rent, this would still be worth it. But if you rent by the room like I do and suggest, chances are you will now have an impressively high cash flow despite the 5% down payments. You could buy a new single family home or multifamily complex every 12 months if you wanted to. Keep using the 5% down primary residence strategy. And after 12 to 24 months, the home may have risen in value enough to you can literally do a refinance to get rid of the PMI bill anyway and to lower the interest rate, and also skip 2 monthly payments on the mortgage like I just did recently on this house as of shooting this video. That's a lot of information, but basically it means for you, the investor, you get an opportunity to save even more money and briefly cut the cost by skipping payments and permanently locking in lower interest rates to reduce your monthly payments and improve your cash flow. What's even cooler is this: if you don't have the ability to save another 5% for another home, you can still do this exact strategy. After living in the house for 12 to 24 months, if the house has gone up significantly in value, then you can get a home equity line of credit against your equity in the house. You can then draw on this line of credit and turn it into cash to use as a down payment to put on your next primary residence investment. To do this, you draw the money out, transfer it to a savings account, wait about 60 days or so to season the money, and then from there on out, there should be no reason why you cannot use that money to put towards your next house. There are credit unions that will offer a HELOC, which stands for Home Equity Line of Credit, for 80, 90, even up to 100% of your current LTV, which means with this strategy, the option of getting a HELOC is absolutely possible for you. I've already researched and found and spoken with several credit unions already in Phoenix, Arizona, who actually do offer this because, of course, I've considered doing this exact strategy for myself to start collecting more quick to rise in value assets like single family homes. And you can literally collect appreciating assets like this as if you were playing Monopoly in real life. The richest people you will meet are often people who own lots of real estate, whether it's residential or commercial. You can be sure that their net worth skyrocket each day without them doing anything at all, just from completely automatic appreciation and loan payoffs and tax savings alone.
Nice.
Another great strategy for house hacking is this: you can live in your first house for 24 months and then sell it in order to cash out the appreciation gained equity 100% tax-free to take a wildly large cash windfall with literally no strings attached, up to $250,000 for individuals and up to $500,000 for married couples. You could then turn around and then simply buy a new house that's suitable to continue this same strategy and bring your current room renters with you if the new house works for them. This would leave you with a big pile of money in your bank account, and then you could just make the 5% down payment on the next or new property. This will buy you more financial freedom and time freedom and the ability to think differently about your next move or what you want to do with your future. You could do this every 24 months, or you could play with the 2 out of 5 year rule and sell a house at any point later on, as long as you originally had lived in it for 2 of the last 5 years to get those tax-free appreciation fueled capital gains. Another available strategy is to buy your first house with 5% down, as we've been discussing, and then live in it for 9 to 12 months just by yourself or with your family. And then after 12 months have gone by, you could literally just start renting out all of the available rooms and collecting those rent payments and sign leases. And then you could go to the bank to potentially get a pre-approval on a new primary residence. Since you already literally rented out your current home in this example, the lender should be able to use at least 75% of that rental income backed by signed leases to support the fact that you're capable of buying and paying for an additional mortgage on a new primary residence. However, this rule can vary and not all lenders may roll this way. If you go with this strategy, you never really have to live with people at all, but the downside is all of the cost of ownership for those first 9 to 12 months. You'll have to take care of yourself in exchange for the conveniences of having privacy, no unwanted noises, and more cleanliness, and other benefits of not sharing common space areas and living with other people. So if I had never had sold my first home, which I purchased for $350,000 back in February of 2017, I'd be at least $150,000 to $250,000 richer today, because today it's estimated to be worth $503,000 and it has no signs of slowing down in its value increases. I actually just checked Zillow yesterday and I found out it was sold for $503,000. So if I had kept it, my mortgage balance on it right now would have been around $315,000, which means I just missed out on having an extra $188,000 in additional equity and another asset that would be rising dramatically in value had I not sold that. So whoops. I also could have rented out the master bedroom in that first house for $1,100 to $1,200 a month, and that would have provided me with about $2,700 to $2,800 a month in rent, which would have allowed me to at least broken even on that house and gotten the free appreciation gains and loan payoff to principal and a lot of other tax breaks just from having that rental. So if I decided to buy another house 4 to 5 months from now, and after I hit the 2 out of 5 year rule on my current house here, I'd also be able to rent out the master bedroom here for at least $1,100 a month, bringing my total rent collection for this house to about $4,100 per month. And if we subtract the $3,000 in expected costs, non-including tax breaks, I'd be cash flowing it at a $1,100 per month profit, plus getting the appreciation gains with the option to sell at no capital gains taxes in the future, because I would have lived in it for 2 years as a primary residence out of the last 5 years. Not a bad set of plans to consider. As of today, I'm 29 years old and I'll be turning 30 this October of 2020. 21. So if I could have done things over, I would have gotten my real estate license right out of high school at 18 years old, and I would have worked at that full time instead of going to college for computer information security for 2 years before dropping out to start an online business, helping lawyers get more clients, which was the first thing I did. I would have strongly considered the idea of doing this house hacking strategy because by now, if I had purchased one single family home, on average every 24 months, I'd have at least 6 single family homes rising in value right now in a super fast growing city, which is Phoenix, Arizona. If I were able to buy a new house every 12 months, I'd have 10 or more houses rising in value every day, and I'd be gaining a ton of appreciation right now. My net worth could have been automatically increased by $50 or more per day per home with the kind of homes that I buy, and that's about $500 per day in net worth increase doing absolutely nothing. And that's a conservative estimate. And the reality is it could have been closer to $600 to $800 per day in net worth increase based on what I'm observing in today's market. The penthouses were fun, and I don't regret living in those. And I can't promise that I won't live in a penthouse again because honestly I might, but only after I've collected enough houses and made enough significant returns from my online businesses to ride the completely passive income cash flow waves that I'm looking to achieve. Speaking of which, if you'd like to grab a 14-day free trial of my Aware consulting program, check out awareproductions.com to learn how to start and scale your own online business to massive profits in minimum time. In this Aware program, I will teach you how to start a consulting business, even if you have no niche, no experience, and no clue, literally, what you should do, what you should offer, or what you should charge. Doesn't matter. I got you covered. And I also go over other business models that are very lucrative related to selling physical products, so be sure to check that out if you are interested. Link in the description. In the next video, which is part 3 of the house hacking experiment video series, we'll break down the steps that you'll need to focus on yourself if you would like to implement this strategy. And I'll teach you more about specific details which will allow you to really succeed doing this stuff based on my 36 months of experience doing it actively as of shooting this video. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to turn on the notifications to get a reminder each time I create and upload a new video. And I don't just make videos of house hacking experiments, so be sure to check out the other videos on the channel that'll show you how to do other cool stuff. All right, my friend, thanks for that. You are epically awesome. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.